Welcome to a short preview of this Screencasts Online video tutorial. Just a few weeks ago saw the launch of WhenWorks, a new iOS application and web service that takes the friction away from scheduling meetings and appointments. Now, my initial reaction was that it was a simple app that does the job well and was a great candidate for a tip video. But the more I used it, I discovered it had hidden depths and was worthy of a longer Screencasts Online tutorial. There are quite a few apps in this space, but WhenWorks has a few unique features that we'll take a look at during the tutorial. The basic premise of the app is that it allows you, the host, to schedule appointments and meetings with others, known as guests, seamlessly across all your calendars. Before taking a look at the WhenWorks service, let's take a look at my current calendar setup. So across over on my Mac, I'm using the standard Apple Calendar application. I'm using some iCloud-based calendars, so I have, as you can see in the sidebar, there's a home calendar. There's a thing I've labeled flexible, which we'll talk about later. There's an SEO publish and an iCloud family calendar as well, which I've currently got switched off so you can't see entries within that calendar. That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from Screencasts Online. Screencasts Online is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS-related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only Screencasts Online Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the digital Screencasts Online monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit screencastsonline.com today and become a Screencasts Online member.